So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first Australian Reiki Connection Reiki Awareness event for 2024. The topic is Animal Reiki, Deepening Connections with Nature and Practice. And we'll start the session by a short meditation. Then we're gonna have presentations from our panel members, Pauline Burr and Diane King. And that will be followed by questions and answers, and finishing up with some closing remarks and a timetable for our future events later on. Just want to welcome you all and thank you for joining in and supporting Pauline and Diane and ARC. And also, I invite all the future viewers who are going to watch this later on to forward any questions to Pauline and Diane directly. You will have their website information in the slides. And if you prefer, you might contact our association and we'll forward their questions to them. Whatever works for you, it's great. And now let's all just sit quietly for a few minutes, closing our eyes and just allowing the energy of the event to relax. Place your hands on your heart, or one hand on your heart, another one on your belly. You can bring your hands in Gasha position in the center of your heart and just focus on your breath for a second. Deep inhale and deep exhale. And if you are a Reiki practitioner, initiated in Reiki, you may imagine a light coming down your crown all the way to your hara, connecting to Reiki the way you have learned, allowing Reiki to support our participants, our panelists, people who have joined when they ask questions, all our pets, all our human friends, everyone who may need some healing. And again, take a deep breath and exhale. And for those who are watching and are not initiated in Reiki, you may imagine white light just gently coming down through your crown, filling up your heart. We all have potential for inner healing. Another deep inhale and exhale. And now release your arms into your lap. Relax your shoulders. Relax your forehead. Connect to your breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Come back to the room. Enjoy the here and now. And enjoy the presentations. And in saying this, I'm going to introduce our first panel member, Pauline Burr. She's the founder of One Body, One Life and has been working with complementary therapies for over 20 years. Her aim is to bring heart-centered healing to people and pets. She's a compassionate and skillful holistic healer and teacher with a wealth of experience in energy healing modalities, including remedial massage, lymphatic drainage massage, animal Reiki, meditation, and oracle reading. This powerful toolkit helps her support and empower her clients and their pets as they strive to improve their health, create harmony, and achieve their life goals through one-on-one healing treatments and workshops. As a qualified Reiki master, animal Reiki master, remedial massage therapist, and meditation teacher, Pauline attracts a wide variety of clients. She is a professional member of the Massage and Myotherapy Australia, Australian Reiki Connection, and the International Center of Reiki. Below is her website, and for you who would like to contact Pauline later on, please mark that down, and she would love to hear from you. Now, Pauline, it's your time to shine. Please tell us something about your experiences with Animal Reiki and how you got to embrace this practice. It's your first slide on, and please prompt me when you're ready for the next one. Thank you.
I'm unmuted.
Good.
Thank you, Slavika and John and Diane, for making tonight possible. It's a pleasure to be able to share with you all the joy and the experience of Animal Reiki that it's given me. When I first saw this quote, when I look into the eyes of an animal, I see a living being, I see a friend, I feel a soul. That is how I felt about animals all my life. I've always had a strong connection with them, and I had forgotten that a long time ago I actually wanted to work with animals. I wanted to be a zoologist, but that good old physics let me down terribly. So at the end of last year, I made the decision that I really wanted to move into the sphere of working with animals in a greater capacity and really working with Animal Reiki. And I wanted to go beyond what Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 offered us. So I did go in search of other Reiki courses which had a stronger Animal Reiki element. I found a course with the International Center of Reiki, which was a Reiki, specific Reiki animal course, which went through level 1 to master and offered a new symbol for working with animals. And it actually really had a really strong impact on me. It gave me a completely different perspective, or a stronger perspective perhaps, of some of the common elements that we talk about when we talk about Reiki. We do talk about oneness and connection, being one with the divine, being one with the universe. And as much as I understood those concepts and felt like I had embodied them, I don't believe I embodied them as much as I have since doing Animal Reiki. I really feel that in my heart now, and it has truly changed the way that I look at the divine animal kingdom and the way that I look at nature. It's really brought that oneness and connection to life. So much so that when I go and sit down at the lake now, I don't feel like I'm at the lake. I feel like I'm a part of the lake. I feel as though I'm part of the trees, I'm part of the earth, I'm part of the animals, and we're all there together creating this beautiful sacred space. The vibration is much stronger, and I feel it from all areas, which has also allowed me to access the wisdom of the nature, the wisdom of the animals, and that always gives me a new perspective. One of the things that I did really contemplate last year after doing the Animal Reiki was whether or not I should continue to eat meat. I found this new connection with animals. I am a meat eater. And I was really pondering this question about, is that now okay? Does that sit right with me at this moment in time? And this voice, this message came into my head, which was, we're all here to sustain each other. And I really thought about that. I thought, wow, that's a really interesting thought. Animals eat other animals. And so in that circle of life, we are actually all here to sustain each other. We have a responsibility to sustain animal life as much as anybody else. And the animals all sustain each other, and we are part of that circle of life. We're not separate to it. So that's the sort of wisdom that I feel has really become a lot stronger through this connection with the oneness and through that stronger connection overall. It has also helped me embody and connect more with the 5 principles of Reiki. In case we've forgotten them or we're not so familiar with them. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I'll do my work honestly. Just for today, I'll give thanks for my many blessings. Just for today, I'll be kind to myself and everybody else. The animals have really taught me different aspects of those 5 principles. And I think the one that I really wanted to talk about today was the one which is about doing our work honestly. When you're working with animals, you have to be honest in your work. They will not receive anything that's not authentic, and they are always in their authentic self. One of the things that I've really noticed about working with animals as opposed to working with humans with Reiki is animals accept it and their response is their response. It's not colored by any experience. It's not biased by any thought that they might have. It is just their pure, honest response. And that is really beautiful to see. And I say, in turn, it makes you, I believe, more authentic as well, because if you're not showing up as your authentic self, they are not going to accept that. Next slide, please, Slavika. Before we talk about Maggie, who is a beautiful Groodle that I've worked with over many years, so I've worked with her pre-doing the Animal Reiki course and post-doing it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about giving the animals the respect to determine their own treatment. We still need to ask permission from the animals as to whether or not they wish to receive Reiki. And in the circumstance where that animal might be a pack animal, so for horses, for example, you might actually have to ask the leader of the pack whether or not you have permission to give this particular horse Reiki. And you'll also need to ask the horse itself whether it wants Reiki. So we still need to respect that freedom of choice that animals have. They get to choose if they receive it. They get to choose how long they receive it for. They get to choose where they receive it. There are no hand positions in animal Reiki. A lot of animal Reiki is done by distance healing and via Zoom. If you are lucky enough to do it in person, the dog or horse or whichever animal you're working with may choose to have hands-on healing, but they might still choose to have it as distant healing themselves, and they will indicate that. There is nothing more rewarding, though, than when a horse puts its hind in your hands and says, here, this is where I want it. And all animals I've found have a habit of doing that. They will really indicate where they want to receive it. And I think that's really one of the crucial points when it comes to working with the animals, is recognizing they still have a choice whether or not to receive it. Now, in regards to Maggie, as I mentioned, I've known Maggie for quite a few years now. When I first met Maggie, her parents were coming for treatment, and every now and again her mum would bring Maggie in because she didn't want to leave her at home. And at this point in time, Maggie's parents were going through a very stressful situation, and Maggie was taking that stress on herself. So in support of her owners, Maggie would accept that stress in the hope of easing it off her beloved parents. So at the end of a session, I would always have some time for Maggie where we might do 10 or 15 minutes just purely on her so that she too could get some benefit from the treatment itself. And that was really how, not how I started working with Reiki with animals, but how I began to understand more about it and more about the connection between people and their pets. So Maggie would leave feeling a bit better, as would her parents, so it would make for a bit of a less stressed household for that period of time. Maggie also used to like to go walkabout, and she always came home. And until one night where she disappeared for about 34 hours. And about 18 hours into this disappearance, I got a message saying that Maggie had disappeared. So I started to do some Reiki with her, and I could sense that she was trapped somewhere, but there was somebody with her. And she just wasn't allowing the people to help her because she was quite stressed about the fact that she felt trapped. So after a period of Reiki, I could feel Maggie begin to relax and begin to let go. And she found her way home not that long afterwards, having allowed the people who were with her to cut her out of the barbed wire that she was actually courting. So Reiki really can help an animal relax. It can really help them to de-stress and calm their nervous system. And now Maggie, she's a bit of an old girl and she's still really beautiful. As you can see, she's there on a purple blanket, which is in my treatment room. That purple blanket I use as a sacred space, and I feel that with Reiki prior to her entering the room. And if Maggie is on the purple blanket, Maggie is saying yes to treatment. If she's not on the purple blanket, we wait and we just let Maggie find her own way there, or if the case may be, not find her way there. I do have a very good helper in my golden retriever called Delilah. And if you have a look at that second picture in particular, you can see that they're touching each other. And Delilah has a beautiful way of leading people. I even think of them as people. Leading the dogs into that space and making them feel safe and comfortable to do so. And she's with them a lot of the time whilst Reiki is happening. And so, as I said, Maggie is now an older dog and she's got aches and pains. She is nearing end of life. And that has been spoken about a few times. So her Reiki visits have increased in recent times. And as much as the owners know that the day is coming, the discussion with the vet to date has actually been taken off the table. So it's a real joy to see Maggie wanting to play with other dogs when she finishes. She is bounding as much as an older dog can bound, but she really gets a new zest of life and is rejuvenated through the experience. So probably sadly our next step with Maggie will be end of life, and we will be here to support her through that and her beautiful parents. Okay, Slavika, next slide. Heart-centered healing for pets and people. That is my main focus, really. As you can see by that bottom photo, another client has brought their dog along whilst they're having a treatment. And that connection between pet and their parent cannot be underestimated. What a dog picks up in terms of anxiety, in terms of stress, even in terms of depression, can often come from their owner themselves. So working with them both is actually a really powerful approach, because you're not just working with one aspect of it or one element of it. You're working with both of them so that they can both get the beautiful benefit of Reiki and help to clear that a little bit quicker. So I'd just like to finish up with that quote there: sit with animals quietly and they'll show you their hearts. Sit with them kindly and they'll help you locate yours. And that truly has been my experience. And I am very grateful to all that Reiki has given me, and more recently what that specialized focused animal Reiki has provided me. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. And I will hand you back to Slavika.
Of course. Thank you so much, Pauline. That was beautiful. And now I am going to introduce our next speaker, Diane King, and she can tell us something about her experiences. So Diane, she's a certified Reiki master and teacher in the original Usui Shiki-Ryoho Reiki system of natural healing, an animal communicator, coach, and teacher with a special interest in missing animals, animals who have past behavioral and health issues, promoting positive change with Reiki and Bach flower essences. She is also an angel intuitive certified by Doreen Virtue, and Diane co-authored the double award-winning book, Angels Winged Whispers, True Stories from Angel Experts Around the World. As a Reiki practitioner, Diane likes to incorporate crystals, numerology, tarot, and Bach flower essences in her healing sessions. She runs her Reiki Animal Communication Foundation workshops and tarot practice in person in the leafy suburb of Neutral Bay, Sydney. She also continues to study various complementary metaphysics, including mediumship. Diane's website is at the bottom. And again, if you want to contact her directly, you can find information how to do so on her website. Diane, it's now your turn to share your experiences with us. And I'll put your first slide on. If you can unmute yourself and start. Thank you. It's your turn.
Thank you. Okay, hello everybody. My name's Diane King and I'm a Reiki Master Teacher in the traditional Usui Reiki method, and I specialize in animal communication, including relocating animals worldwide, missing animals, end-of-life support, animals who have passed, general behavioural and health issues, promoting positive change with Reiki, and my signature range of Bach flower essences for animals. 16 years ago, I commenced my Reiki level 1 and 2 studies in 2008, and in 2009, my animal communication studies, and became a Reiki master teacher in 2013, and I'm a professional member of ARC. I have created an Animal Communication Foundations workshop where I teach you one-to-one, in person or online. And in Reiki Level 2, you will learn how to give Reiki to an animal hands-on in person, or send distance Reiki to an animal anywhere in the world. How I discovered Reiki was pretty cool. It involves my Reiki master, who was also my mentor in animal communication. A friend saw her on TV and then had her come to their home to communicate with their 2 dogs. I remember this was almost 20 years ago, and animal communication wasn't a thing then as it is now. My friends were very happy and told me I had to have her come and talk to my dog. So I did. And even though I've always been intuitive, this modality was almost unheard of, and I was intrigued but skeptical. I was told to write out some questions, and I wanted to know the answer. Some questions that I wanted to know the answers to, and I did a whole A4 page of questions, and some I knew the answers to, just to see if she was the real deal. My wee pup was a rescue, and she didn't cope when we had to go away, and to be honest, I didn't know why at that time, but I didn't cope being away from her either, and I worried about her constantly. Our pup Coco was a fabulous guard girl, and no one could come to the front door without her barking. So we were astounded when the door knocked, and off trotted Coco to the door quietly. Our first question to her was, "How did you do that?" And we were told that she had already commenced chatting with Coco before she arrived, and knowing what I know now, I'm sure there was a little bit of distance Reiki in the mix too. There was great laughter at my full page questions, and we whittled those down to our most important, otherwise she would have been there for days apparently. I was so impressed when she finished that. I said to her, "Whatever it is you're doing, I want to do that." It was suggested that I study Reiki 1 and 2, which would help open my intuition more, and I'd be able to give Reiki to the animals. So my love of Reiki blossomed, and the following year she taught me her method of animal communication, and I have never looked back. That beautiful mentor was Simone Lee, with whom I became great friends, and I taught her method of animal communication up until our world had a reset, and I branched out on my own to teach. Some of the ways I incorporate Reiki into my animal communication sessions are when I'm working with animals in transit around the world, those that are unwell or nearing end of life, behavioural problems, and missing animals. Most of my Reiki sessions for animals are done via distance Reiki, which is taught in Reiki level 2. And we practice distance Reiki and Reiki hands-on with domestic animals in this workshop. I mostly work with domestic animals because I'm getting feedback direct from the owners. Of course, I send Reiki to animals in zoos or out in the wild, birds. But when I'm working, and especially in Reiki workshops, I'm using domestic animals. I'd like to talk about timing, and if I could have my next slide, please. So I'll give you some examples, but first I wanted to talk about timing and how long you give Reiki to an animal. For those who've completed Reiki level 2, you will know that we can send Reiki by distance with either one set of hands or 2 sets of hands for shorter duration, and we can program when we want the recipient to receive the Reiki. But if we're giving Reiki, let's say, to a fish, we would not be sending the same distance Reiki setup as if we were sending it, say, to a horse. So there are suggested timings for different animals depending on their size and their health issues. And I personally would not use more than one set of hands for animals. And of course, we then have the animal's own sense of what they want. So when I set up a Reiki healing program, I always add for the Reiki to be sent at a vibration that resonates with the animal with ease and grace. And most importantly, that the animal has free will to walk away when they've had enough healing. As an example, when giving Reiki in person to an animal, let's say a cat, you'll find that the cat is happy to lay on your lap as it soaks up the Reiki, but then suddenly it jumps up and runs away from you. You can be assured that the cat has received Reiki for that session. It received enough Reiki for that session. This is the same for all animals. If they get up and walk away, they've had their fill of the Reiki energy. Some examples of approximate timings are 5 to 10 minutes for birds, mice, or fish, 10 to 15 minutes for cats, 10 to 30 minutes for dogs, depending on the dog size, and 15 to 30 minutes for horses. The duration or how many days I would send the Reiki healings would depend on each individual animal. So the healing could be a one-off, or it could be programmed for a few days, or it could even be less time than the approximate timings mentioned above. And if we look at these animals in the slides, on the right-hand side, this little dot up the top is Coco, and she is and has been my model student in my Reiki level 1 and 2, probably for around 12 years. The students love her. She soaks up getting the Reiki, and she also loves talking with the students. The animal on the top left-hand corner, that is Cherry, and she generally joins us in Reiki level 2 as well. They're both little teacup cavoodles, so they get to sit on the table while we're all learning, or they go around the students. They've generally been cuddled all day and soaking up beautiful healings. The little cat on the bottom left, Lily, she is amazing. Now, when I finished teaching the students And then I say to them, you've just talked and sent Reiki to an animal in New Zealand. It blows their minds that Reiki and animal communication can be sent anywhere and everywhere. You can see a couple of cats there receiving Reiki, the one on the next to Lily. She's sitting on top of a student who's being taught Reiki. You can just see another student to the right giving the other student Reiki. My cat's on top and also getting Reiki. He loves it. And the cat in the middle, the big ginger, this was at a refuge in Rome, and this cat wouldn't go near anyone. And I sat there quietly. My husband was like, come on, we've got a time frame here. And I just didn't want to leave. I gave these animals Reiki, and this little boy came and gave me cuddles when he would not go to anyone. It was absolutely beautiful. So moving on, I'd like to talk about missing animals and Reiki. So I always use Reiki when working with missing animals. Firstly, by sending distance Reiki to the animals' humans, who are generally super stressed. And I find this helps to soothe the household, kind of taking the edge off their anxiousness so that they can focus on what is required by them to help get the message out that their pet's missing. I connect with the missing animal via telepathy and endeavour to ascertain if the animal is alive. Or has it been injured? Did it leave home on purpose? And you know, some cats come here and they're here to teach us. And when they feel that you've learnt everything, they might decide that they want to go and help another family. So some animals choose to leave home. Maybe the animal has lost its way whilst wandering, or it bolted in a storm or from fireworks, or worse, it's been stolen. After my initial chats with the animal, I explain the process moving forward, and I always send the animal Reiki. The Reiki is used in this instance to help calm the animal, especially if it's been in fight or flight mode. Excuse me. And once I have the trust of the animal, we can work together to work out where it is and how to get it home. I give the missing animal gentle distance Reiki daily, and the animal can soak up as much as it wants to. I know that Reiki helps the missing animal to focus and to listen to me so that we can ultimately reunite it with its humans. I worked with a client once who had a serial escape artist in the form of a cat. Cats are funny little kings and queens, and that they rule their kingdom and their humans, not the other way around, no matter what we think. This little queen lived in an apartment with a few other fur siblings, and she wanted to be an only cat. Her human was a cat rescuer, and she was an adored pet, so that was unlikely ever to happen. So on occasion, this little queen would jump off the balcony. It was a couple of stories high, of the apartment, and take herself on an adventure. The first time this happened, the owner, of course, was distraught. I was engaged to work out where the cat was, what it was doing, and after everyone received distance Reiki, I asked the cat to come out of hiding because it was time to go home. Of course, I'm doing a lot more work in my animal communication side of things until we get to this point. I asked the cat to come out of hiding because it was time to come home, as I mentioned, and it took a few days to tempt and coax her because she had a good food supply. But she did agree to return, and she was found sitting next to a lamppost with her missing cat poster above her. You can't ask for better than that, can you? Fantastic. This queen left home again, and my services were engaged once more, and we got her home. And when the cat realised that she could escape and come home when she wanted to, her owner allowed her to take little breaks when she needed them. So we can move to the next slide, please. I'd like to talk about unwell and end-of-life support for animals. So another example I find to be extremely supportive is when an animal is unwell or at end of life. Of course, as Reiki practitioners, we cannot diagnose as we're not vets, but we can assist the animal's owners by sending distance Reiki to support them so that they can move forward with clarity under a vet's advice to make those final hard but loving end-of-life decisions for their beloved pet. I also work with the animal prior to the vet visit to let them know step by step what is happening and why, and I get to share any messages between the animal and the owner. This is the time where I concentrate on sending Reiki to the animal as support. This Reiki could be sent daily, and of course the animal is usually quite fragile, so my timings vary from animal to animal. When the final visit to the vets arrives, I remain in contact with the animal by communicating where required and continuing the distance Reiki, and of course it's been sent to the owners. In time, the animal's owners report back to me that even though it was a very sad day, they could feel how serene and beautiful that sad experience was for them, and most importantly, their pet. I continue to send the humans Reiki for several days ahead, depending on the circumstances. And I found that distance Reiki has had the same beautiful effects as the results, and the results are the same as if it was given in person. So these animals in the slide above are all animals that I have sent Reiki to at end of life. And the little pup with the pink jumper on is my dog, Coco. And she now works with me to help me when I'm doing missing animals. She works from spirit. This beautiful little pussycat doing the pole dance, that's Crystal. Love that photo. She had cancer on her nose, but she had the most amazing mother who did everything she could for this pussycat. So you can't really see it, but she doesn't have a nose. But she's well loved and lived a very long life. Okay, so now next slide, please. Now I'd like to talk about the animals I've worked with and relocating animals. And these two dogs are Tika and Bella. Tika's the little caramel color and Bella the cream one. So Reiki's been amazing for my clients and their animals when they've have needed to relocate their beloved pets either by car, train or plane. In recent years, there have been many animals relocated by planes with their owners as they return to their home countries. I have two doggies, Tika and Bella, that I've worked with for a number of years, and I've never met them in person, even though they initially lived only a few suburbs away from me. So these fur kids and I had a great rapport. Every time their mama asked me to communicate with them, I always sent distance Reiki first to calm them, and then I'd commence my animal communication sessions. It was like we were old friends. And one of the times I supported them before, during and after 2 international flights, 3 domestic flights, and 6 weeks in quarantine in Melbourne. The last flight departed from Sydney, and I asked their mama if I could go out to the airport to meet the girls. And the photo on the right is of Tika and Bella the moment I walked in. We had never met, but they knew me well. I know this is not only because of our years of animal communication sessions, but because the Reiki had helped. These fur kids trusted me. This photo makes me laugh each time I see it, the one on the right. Tika under one arm, she jumped up there instantly, and Bella trying to jump up into my other, and they're not little doggies. It was a very, very special day for me. You can see that these dogs just spent all their time with me. The first time we'd met in person, it was wonderful. And in conclusion, I'd like to say that having worked successfully with Reiki and animals over many years, I know Reiki is a beautiful healing modality, both for humans and animals alike. Whether it's received in person or by distance, the feedback I've received has always been positive, and this is why I continue to include it in my animal communication sessions, and I teach it. I love seeing other people continuing to share the beautiful healing modality that is Reiki. Thank you. And if you have any questions at the end, I'm happy to answer them for you. Thank you.
The floor is open. So who would like to ask a first question to either Diane or Pauline? No one? I can ask. I have a question. I'll start with the questions then. So first I'll ask a question to Pauline. Now, when you have animals come for treatment, do their owners sit in the room with them? And how do animals interact with their owner and with you? Like, is there any specific interaction that occurs as a rule, or every situation is different? I'm just trying to picture how that happens in your treatment room.
It's really dependent upon the owner. Some owners just come and drop them off and then come back and pick them up. I probably love that because it shows the trust that they have. And it just really allows the engagement between me and them. And there's other times when the owners do stay. At those times, I'll just be either talking to the owner and just letting the dog find their own way onto the rug. And they do always find their way onto the rug. If I am actually giving the owner a treatment, I'll actually start with giving the treatment to the owner first. Very often Delilah will be taking the dog at that point around the garden, letting them sniff and getting them familiar with the place. And it's really quite comical to watch because she will then walk in the door. They'll walk in the door, she'll sit down on the rug, and then they will sit down on the rug. And so I'll finish the treatment with the owner, and we'll leave the owner on the bed whilst I then go and work with the animal itself. So I try to leave it as flexible and as open as possible. We are working with animals, and as I said earlier, we've really got to respect where they're at. So I just work with how they present the best way I can. And as I don't think one has ever come who has not wanted it. I do, in saying that, there are certain times when I will ask the owner to avoid. So if it's around dinner time and the dogs, or it's generally a dog if they're coming to my house, so we avoid dinner times because then they're just going to be really interested in their food. And if they have a very structured routine day and there's a particular time when they go for a walk or an outing, then we also try to avoid that because then they're going to be more interested in doing what they do. So we just try to work with the animal, the pet, in their life, in what their priorities are.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that sounds great. It's very sort of inclusive for all the kinds of conditions that may present themselves. Yeah, thank you. Now, I have a quick question for Diane, and then I'll see if anyone else has questions. Diane, for you, this popped up to me when I was hearing your stories. Is there a great interest in community for animal Reiki? And with that, would you recommend pet owners do the animal communications training, or people who work with animals? Would that be something that you recommend as you come across people who ask for your help?
With the training, I guess that depends. If you've got a person like me that was so interested that I wanted to do it. So I would recommend that people learn Reiki, at least to Reiki level 2. So you're learning in Reiki level 2 how to do distance Reiki. Animal communication's a whole other fabulous thing. So you can do animal communication without doing Reiki, but I include both because I know it works. Every one of my clients gets Reiki of some kind. So the two separate things, but the two things that work very closely together. Like me, I think I would, if you've done nothing before, I would recommend to do Reiki 1 and 2 and animal communication. But, you can still give Reiki to animals without having the animal communication. The difference with animal communication is that we're we're communicating via telepathy with the animal and getting feedback. The owners can give us feedback, of course, but it's great. That's why I work with domestic animals, because you're getting that feedback from the animal. So I recommend Reiki and animal communication, depending on where you want to go in your career. If you're focusing on animals, then yep, do it all. I hope I've answered that for
That's
you.
a good answer. That's a very good and clear answer. And I love how you say that both work together really well. And if you do one way, not the other one, like they really support each other. That's beautiful. Now, does anyone else have a question for either Diane or Pauline?
I don't have a question, but I have an interesting animal Reiki story, the short version. I wouldn't do animal Reiki. The only reason I wouldn't do it is because I'm allergic to animals. So if I come in contact with an animal, I could end up in hospital with severe asthma or worse. So, but however, a lot of my friends have animals. I can't visit the ones where they've got big animals indoors, but I had these particular friends when I lived up in the Dandenong Ranges, and they had an outdoor dog, and he was a big, furry, bouncy, friendly, gentle giant. And what he always did was, anybody who came to the gate, he would bound down the driveway. I felt it was like a dinosaur, but that wasn't true. And he would jump up on the gate, and then when people go in the gate, he'd be jumping up on them and all over them. And I'd be scurrying in behind people trying to get to the house. And then one day it occurred to me that, why don't I just try Reiki on him? So I came to the gate, and he did as usual and was jumping up and down. And I just put my hands out and sent Reiki. And lo and behold, after a very short time, he just sat down. He just sat down, wagged his tail, and went completely still. I walked in the gate. He remained still. And the door opened, and there he was, standing beside me, and the owner was just blown away. How did it happen? I got safely into the house, but that's my experience of how animal Reiki works. And I know, as we all do, that animals in particular are so open to the energy because they have no preconceived ideas, they have no beliefs, they have no nothing. They just feel it, accept it, and it works. That's my animal Reiki story. And what Pauline and Diane, what you're doing is wonderful, because like humans, animals are so much in need of healing. Thank you.
Anyone else offering a question? I have another one for Pauline and then Diane. So we have another, let's say, 5-6 minutes before we need to conclude. So I'll ask you to keep it like to 2 minutes each. So the first one for Pauline, do you ever go to people's homes to treat animals? Is there a case when there can't be moved or that you need to go and visit? And how does that look like for you and the clients?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have gone to other people's homes, obviously local people, and we work in a very similar way that we work here. The main difference is that they're more comfortable in their own home. And it generally tends to be when it's a dog that's towards the end of their life, and perhaps moving them is a lot more difficult. So it's much easier for me to go to them. So yes, definitely do that. I also work over Zoom with it. So it's really nice to be able to see the animal and how they're responding in real time. So I've worked with some pigs in America in that way, as well as other domestic animals. And just the standard distant healing through a photo as well. So always very viable. And as I just try to keep it really flexible depending on what the animal actually needs. So that's what I work with. I always just go back to what do they need and how do they need it done.
Now, I am going to ask Diane a question that I thought I'm very curious about it. I know as a Reiki practitioner that anyone can learn and be initiated and do Reiki. With animal communication, is that equally available to everyone? Could everyone learn animal communication? And is there a prerequisite for the course?
No, not really. Look, anyone can learn. Absolutely. I did. Anyone can. When I started, I come from a very intuitive family with palm readers, tarot readers, that sort of thing, going back lineages. So I was, like everyone is, I was very intuitive. We all are. We just need to learn to hone that muscle, right? We need to practice and focus on it to make it stronger. So when I met my animal communicator teacher, she suggested, because I had done no formal training of anything, she suggested Reiki, and I'm so glad that she did. But that was just one, to help increase my intuition, because we all know when you learn Reiki that does happen. And also in Reiki level 2, learning to be able to give distance Reiki, because I work with photographs with animals all around the world. When I started out, like a lot of us, I was working in the Muggle world, and this work was on weekends or after work or in my lunch times. So I had to do it by photograph. I couldn't go out because I was working elsewhere. And then when I learnt the animal communication, that was just an added bonus, having the Reiki. I teach people animal communication who don't have Reiki, but because I talk about it all through my animal communication course, they're all want to go and learn Reiki. And one of my students from the UK, she's just completed her Reiki level 2 this past weekend. So I find they work hand in hand, but you don't need either to do either. So if you just wanted to do animal communication, then yes. If you had the Reiki, it just maybe enhances things, because you're a little bit more trusting of your intuition, because you're talking to an animal. Remember, that blows people's minds, especially I work by photos. And when I tell my students, hey, you've just spoken to Lily in Auckland, or hey, you've just spoken to Hannah in Atlanta, USA, or you've just spoken to Sir Ed, who's in spirit. Whoa, you see their heads blown when that happens. But you don't need either to do it, but they work hand in hand. I hope that answers that for you.
Yes, it does. Definitely answers my question. And it makes sense. And I can see how Reiki really deepens that connection with our own intuition, connection to everything around us, and especially to those that we intend to communicate with, which is a powerful combination in this case. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you both for sharing your knowledge. And I'm just one more time, if anyone else wants to ask further questions, is there any curiosity around the topic or something you would like to learn? Yeah, Rosemary, if you unmute yourself.
Hello, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Sorry, I was running late for work, so I'm so sorry I missed both the talks from both ladies, but so my apologies. I was so looking forward to it. Diane, you mentioned this animal communication course. How do we go about finding how to jump on to one? And where are you based? Is it something that I'm based in Canberra? So.
Oh, okay. So I'm based in Sydney. You can find my details on the slides. I've got my web address, and you can contact me there or via the association. I can teach either in person, but most of it I've found, because remember, we've gone through a reset in the world, and I teach via Zoom, and it's done over 3-hour periods over 4 days. Now, these could be 4 weeks. There's generally, the 3 days could be I like to do them each week, and I'll tell you why. I give you homework, because you have to put in the work or you're not going to get the results. And even though it's done online, I am here for you. It's usually one-to-one, or if you've got a girlfriend, we can do more, but I am one-to-one with you. And that's my differentiation to other people in the world. And I'm there for you every step of the way. I'm at the end of my mobile, emails, and if you have questions, so when you complete the course, and it's completed after 4 weeks, or it could be longer if you need the time, I'm there for you, because what you will learn is it's when you go out and do it on your own that a lot more questions are going to come up for you. And so that's when I'm here for you ongoing. So it's not like you do a course and adios. I'm here and I'll help you, because there will be questions come up, and I expect that. So you are supported the whole way, even though it's an online course.
Fantastic. I am a Reiki practitioner, so I work for Bernardo's 4 days and then a Reiki practitioner on another day, or whenever people need me. But I've sort of dabbled in animal Reiki as well. And so, working with families with dogs that are transitioning, that at that end stage of life. And I've also worked with racehorses and had really amazing results where the horse has simply just, some aren't interested and they soon let me know, and then others, I've had one where it's completely leant in through my chest and just given itself to me, and it was the most amazing experience. So and I just love being a part of that, not just the human side of Reiki but the animal side. And I just thought this would be really something that, animal communication would be another asset.
Yes, the animal communication blends so well with the Reiki. They go hand in hand. You don't need either to do either, but they do go hand in hand really well. As I mentioned through my presentation, that I always send Reiki to the animals. And of course, animal communication, there's a lot more than just sending Reiki to the animals. You're working with animals all around the world by photograph. But like Pauline, you can go and do the Reiki with the animal in person. But as I said, I worked in the Muggle world and was doing this part-time when I started. And so I worked by photos, and it worked for me, and I've just kept doing that. It works successfully, so I haven't changed the formula. But if someone wanted me to go and do Reiki in person, of course I could, but this is the way that I work and it works well. So yes, you learn online, and it's as good as learning in person.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you both, Pauline and Diane, for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone, and thank you, Rosemary, for all these questions. Now I'm just going to share the presentation once more, as we are basically towards the end. We are at the end, so I'm just gonna flip to the last slide, where we list our future events that are coming in May, July, and September. As you can see, the topics are varied and quite interesting. And you can access this information also on our website. Please do, and please visit again, and also promote this if you are a ARC member, share that within your communities so we have more people attend. And last but not least, I would like to thank our panelists, Pauline and Diane, for volunteering their time and expertise and wisdom, sharing their beautiful stories. And thank you to all attendees who joined us tonight and asked questions. We look forward to seeing you in further events. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much, everyone. I had fun just listening about all this, and I hope to see you all again. I'm stopping sharing now, and I want to just say thank you again. We're going to finish now this session. If you want to reach any one of us, we are all at the ARC website. Check it out, have a look, and reach out if you need anything. Thank you, everyone. Bye.